Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Jason's in the House. I'm your host, Jason Parisella with Keller Williams Realty in Beverly. I'm glad to be back with everybody. And today we have three special guests from the Beverly Police Department. We have Captain Mike Devlin, Patrol Commander, Officer Justin Shairs, Community Impact Unit, and Officer Brian Long, Crime Prevention. So welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Jason.
And before we even start, I wanted to make sure I thank you personally as a citizen of Beverly. We really appreciate everything you do as the police department, and some of the discussion we had prior to the show. You guys are doing a lot, and that's one of the, we want to talk about some of the great things you guys are doing. So let's make sure we know everybody again. Brian Long is to my far, my far right.
Me and Jason go way back, Hardy School.
Yeah, we went to elementary school together, absolutely. Justin Shairs here, and Mike
Hello,
Devlin.
everyone. Thank you, Jason.
So let's talk about first the hot topic in Beverly, the new police station. So we've been waiting for this for a long time. So Mike, why don't you give us an update? First of all, what's the status of the new police station? I've seen some construction on Elliott Street there at the Cumming Center.
The new police station is underway. It hasn't officially had the groundbreaking ceremony, but they're doing preliminary site work. Anybody that goes down there, they can see the perimeter of the lot has been laid out, and the chain link fencing clearly defines it. It's approximately a 2-acre parcel. We've had excellent partnership with Cummings Properties. They're on site doing a little bit of the work to remove some of the things that belong to them. And we have some geothermal test boring going right now for the heating and air conditioning system will be for the new police station.
Excellent. So I do believe we have some slides you guys brought with you, so we can put those up. It will show you what it's going to look like. So I was looking at these earlier. It looks fantastic.
It does. It's had a lot of combined interest with Cummings Properties and the city to make sure it blended in well with that site, and new condominiums on Elliott's Landing. And I think the architectural firm Castle Booz, which is a premier New England public safety facility builder, has really done an excellent job.
So you mentioned they're doing some work for the, what you call it, geofencing? For the, or geothermal work?
Geothermal.
So the idea is to offset the electrical use or the energy use to net zero?
On the new building, beginning with the geothermal system to do the heating and air conditioning, and also going to go with a solar canopy and a stage 2 process, which will cover the areas of the roof and enclose the entire parking area of the station. With that type of project and ambition with trying to reach a net zero building as an end effect.
Excellent. So you're going to consolidate, everything's going to be consolidated into this one location. All the equipment, the vehicles, everything will be at this new location?
Everything for the police department will be at this one location. Currently we're spread out the city in 4 buildings. This will reunify the police department. It's also going to unify public safety communications by bringing police and fire dispatch together.
Excellent. So the dispatching, at one point I was reading, this has been going on for a while, but I'm not quite sure where Beverly is at with, I believe in Middleton they had a regional dispatch center, and
yes,
where's that all going to go? Is it? I believe Beverly's on its own, has its own dispatch, correct?
Beverly is standalone. We handle our own dispatching. If you're within the city and you call 911, 99% of the time you'll be calling right directly into the Beverly Police Department. There are instances where, for a multitude of reasons, you may be bounced to the state, to the rec center, which is the Regional Emergency Communications Center, at which time they'll just forward you to us.
I see. Okay.
And one other thing, if you're on like Route 128 corridor, under 911 we did geofencing. So if you're on the highway, instead of coming to the Beverly Police Department, then it'd be transferred to the state police. All calls within that corridor go right to the Massachusetts State Police.
I see. Is that something Beverly specifically did?
A lot of communities opt to do that. It gets emergency services there quicker, and if the state needs assistance, which a lot of times, if they don't have a car available in the immediate area, they will call us and to dispatch our units to the location on the highway.
Okay.
So it's just to be more efficient.
Yeah. All right. So when is this police station going to be done? We've been waiting a long time for this.
The groundbreaking ceremony hopefully will be scheduled very shortly. We're looking at May, June of 2021.
2021. Okay. And I'm sure people are wondering, I am as a Beverly citizen, what about the traffic? It's bad enough going to the, Elliott Street really has changed a lot with Stop and Shop and the Cumming Center, and now we're going to have the police station. So any provisions, or what's the kind of the projection on that traffic flow?
We've done a traffic impact study, and there is no appreciable difference because of the low volume of employees.
Okay.
With the Cummings Center, we will have people driving into the police station on a daily basis, but not anywhere near the commercial business that's done at the Cummings Center.
Very different. Like you said, very low. The amount of people that work at that location will be
It's a low impact.
low, yeah.
And Cummings has been incredible with this and partnering with this to make sure everything goes well, and taking plans on the redesign of the front entryway, so there'll be one way into the new police station and another way out.
Totally separate entrance into the police station. Or you have to go through the main entrance of the Cummings Center.
Be through the main entrance of the Cummings Center,
Okay.
down, and then you come into the police station, and they'd be directed back out another location up like 3 or 4 rows from the current design.
Okay.
To give you some idea, because they didn't want anybody coming right back out at the entryway, creating a choke point. So it's doing a traffic flow even within inside the Cummings Center property.
I see. So how would you exit again? You going to exit up the main entrance again?
Yes.
Okay.
It's one way in, one way out.
I see. All right. Good. So what about amenities, benefits? What are we going to, as citizens, what's some direct things that we're going to benefit from the new station and
Well, we're
use of it or anything like that?
currently in the 1930s police station that we're busting out at the seams.
I can't believe it. Yeah, it's been a long
Very
time.
comfortable in there, especially the cell block.
Just by having a modern, up-to-date police and fire dispatch is going to be huge. Having a new police station is going to be huge. New equipment, new facilities, a on-site training room. All that training had to be done off-site. So this is a huge step forward for us.
Yeah.
There's also a community
Excellent.
room, I believe, that can be used by the community for various meetings and functions.
So there'll be a way for citizens of Beverly to be able to reserve the room and have meetings. And
Yes.
you guys know what the size of that will be, or the?
It's going to be approximately a 40-person meeting room.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Give another option for people in the city to try to find a meeting space. It comes at a priority if you're trying to book a room.
Yeah. Excellent. So that will be kind of like a separate. Is it like a separate wing off the station, or is
Well,
it?
we get the slides back up. I can point out where it is exactly. It's right at that corner window.
Actually, okay.
So if you're looking at the front of the building, the left front corner.
The left front corner will be
where
the community room.
will be.
So they'll have a separate entrance and all that type of thing?
Main entrance of the police station.
Okay.
One way in, one way out.
Yeah. Track everybody coming in and out. Okay. Excellent. So we talked about traffic. Anything else about the station? I know, like I said, we've all been waiting for it. It looks phenomenal. The pictures look great.
It brings a lot of other things to us. It gives the city of Beverly an emergency operations center. So we can set up with police, fire, public works, any outside agencies depending on the occurrence. Anything from storms to power outages.
So that's all going to be done or centralized into the new station?
Yes, that'll be part of the community room.
So even the fire, you mentioned the fire department will be dispatching, everything will be dispatched out of the new police station? Okay.
Yes.
Will the
Fire
fire
and police
department have any
dispatch.
presence in the office or in the building, or it's just more on the
It'll
dispatch?
just be in the dispatch center.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else you want to go over specific to the fire department, the new police station?
I think we've covered a lot. It gives us a lot of new multi-purposes and capabilities that we don't have today, that we have to go outside to do. Flexibility, ability to be a host community to defer costs and bring people, other departments in for like a training.
Yeah.
Has a lot of positive benefits.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's pretty amazing that it's been this long that we've waited, although it's been in process for a long time, so that's, it's not like nothing's been happening. There's a lot of things with originally with the Cummings Center,
Yep.
wasn't it, that this was part of that so-called deal when the Bill Cummings,
It was previously they were
Came
going
in.
to do a police fire
yeah,
combined public safety building
yeah.
back in right around 2000.
Oh, I see. So the change a little bit after that, yeah.
It's big changes.
Okay. So that
And
was,
the city has done its due diligence. They've looked at other alternate sites. Like the Briscoe site was one,
yeah,
but even to do a multi-building complex was like another $30 million, and it just wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
So city's done a great job with the mayor and the city council to appropriate and start to fund this project. They've done the schools, they've done the library, got a beautiful senior center. And it's nice to have a police department on the horizon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to have the chief that we have now coming from state police, he was involved with a lot of public safety buildings across the state of New Hampshire, coming from the New Hampshire State Police. And he's an incredible resource and asset during this project.
Excellent. Well, the great thing, like you said, the due diligence and the amount of time and effort into really, put a lot of thought into this is going to definitely pay off. Excellent. So let's switch gears a little bit, and let's go to Justin Shairs. So Justin, I learned about the community impact unit only a few days ago.
Okay.
And so you're the, I'm sorry, you're specific to the community impact unit. So
Yes.
Tell us what community impact unit is.
So basically, our unit is designed to forge a relationship with the citizens of Beverly and help with some bigger picture issues that the patrol force may not be able to address. Where they're jumping calls, every 20 minutes or so, and they got to clear their calls and do their thing. They reach out to us to do some outreach work with people with substance abuse disorders, mental health disorders, and that sort of thing. So it's currently it's myself, Sergeant Dave Costa, and Lisa Macario, who's a clinician who works directly with us, and we do a lot of outreach work through nonprofit organizations and things like that.
So how long has it been actually going on for, the community impact unit?
I believe the community impact unit's in its third or fourth year now.
Okay.
So it's been a very successful program. We work with a great organization out of Lynn called Healthy Streets, and we do overdose follow-ups with anyone who's been a victim of an overdose in our city or a resident of our city. We have a database throughout the county that gets updated on a daily basis. So anytime a resident of Beverly has an overdose or a relapse, we get notified, and we go out and knock on the door with an outreach worker from Healthy Streets, and we'll give them Narcan and different things resources to try to get them on the up and up and clean themselves up.
So will the community impact unit have a specific designated area in the new police station, or a place
Yes.
where people can go possibly to?
Yeah, we will. We'll have an area there that will be specific to us. We'll have offices there. We'll be able to hold meetings and stuff like that. Where we do a lot of stuff with the Citizens Advisory Council right now, and we're all over the city kind of holding those meetings where I believe we'll do a lot of that at the police station now, just to bring people in and show them around and whatnot.
Okay. Where are you doing the meetings now?
So we go anywhere from Mistlewood at Endicott. We just had a nice holiday meeting there with the advisory council. We do them at the library. We'll go anywhere in the community. We try to space it out throughout different neighborhoods so that different people feel welcome to come and show their face and voice their opinion.
So what are you hearing out there from the citizens when you have these meetings and the outreach, or what are you seeing, or what do you feel like?
I think it's a pretty positive response. We've done a lot of work in Gloucester Crossing. Dave and I, Sergeant Costa, we have a coffee every Wednesday at Dunkin' Donuts right downtown, and it's very informal. So in this instance, we're seeing people just as, Justin and whoever, and they're seeing us as people rather than police officers. We're not showing up to intervene in some sort of crisis that they're in, that's where they typically see the police.
Right.
Now we're just sitting down with them over a cup of coffee and saying, hey, what's going on? And the response has been great.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what do you think, what do you feel like what do you hear the most, or what do you feel like is really an area where you guys are focusing on, or anything that
I think
comes up on a regular, consistent basis?
A lot of people like to see us out with the kids. That's a big feedback we've got from a lot of the neighborhoods. They like to see us in the parks and playgrounds and just out of the cruiser with a smile on our face, maybe shooting hoops with the kids or something like that.
Right.
And anytime we have the opportunity to do that sort of thing, I think it shines well on us as a police department. And our command staff and our chief have been great to promote the community policing aspect of our job, and that's something that it's a fun part of our job. It's not just going to a call to haul someone off and take them to jail. You're actually having some fun with the kids, and believe it or not, it pays dividends years down the road when this kid remembers you from shooting hoops at a basketball court in his neighborhood.
Right.
If he sees something happen, he'll say, hey, come here, I got something for you. Give you some information or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
so you bring up a good point, too, that a lot of policing is hearing from the
Oh, yeah.
citizens.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of your information from having good relationships with
Certainly,
citizens.
yeah, those relationships are
kind of
vital.
finding out what's happening and where some areas you need to focus on and things like that.
Of
I
course.
think you could. I bet you could fill a room of 20 cops, and they'll tell you that 90% of the crimes that are solved in any city is from a tip from someone in the community. It's
Yeah.
very rare that you actually come across a crime as a police officer.
We
Very rare.
right,
we
you
don't,
need
we
to
don't
do that.
witness much. We
So
get our
rely on the
information from
community
someone
to-
else.
Absolutely.
So that, like Brian said, that relationship is vital, and I think we've been doing a really good job with it as a community impact unit and a patrol force in general. A lot of our guys are great with it, and they really want to develop that relationship with the citizens.
So you must see a wall at the beginning, or people get defensive and not quite sure what to say, and then they must get more used to.
Yeah, when they start seeing us
Talking
as
to
regular
you and-
people,
yeah.
we're just having normal conversations, and you know, we kind of just let them know that we're here to help, you know, take care of their problems if we can, by any means necessary, whatever we can do to help. And yeah, you can see the guard slowly go down when
Yeah.
you walk into a room and they're smiling instead of kind of
Right.
scowling at you, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure the attitude. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean the other thing too is you must. Do people ever get? I don't know what the word would be. Start telling you things that put you in an awkward position, or as a police officer, where now you're hearing things that you know
For the most
you're
part,
attempting to.
it's not anything involved with them. They're giving us information on
I see.
something else
Something
that
else,
might be
yeah.
going on in the neighborhood, or they got you know, they heard about this, that, or the other thing. So for the most
You
part,
just-
it's okay, and it's something we can act on,
Right.
and just try to help them.
It's certainly not the goal that you're out there trying to, coerce people to tell you something.
Not
It's
at
just-
all, not
I'm
at all,
thinking
but-
some people may say things.
Yeah,
whether
no,
the-
just occasionally it helps with something that's a legitimate, that's
Right.
a big crime or a big problem, and that helps us, you know.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, that's great, because I always think, too, as I said earlier in the show, or before we got on the show, you hear from the police when like negative. It's
Right.
all negative.
Right.
You don't want to see the police. You don't want to, all of
Right.
a sudden, whenever you see a police car, it's negative, negative, negative. Even everything you see on TV, it's all, well, not all, but you see so many negative things.
Yeah,
And it's great to see the positive side of
Certainly, yeah.
the police department.
Yeah, and the citizens definitely appreciate it. I know the group that we meet with in the crossing every week, that's like the highlight of their week, is that Wednesday. There's a woman who comes down an hour early to reserve our corner at the Dunkin' Donuts to make sure no one else is
Nice.
there. And she's ready to go,
Yeah.
big smile on her face, and she's got something. As soon as we
So you're
walk
seeing,
in,
you're seeing your leaders, too, of the community.
Yeah.
You're finding the leaders and the people that are,
Certainly.
Yeah. Everybody has obviously a different motivation and things like that, but you're finding the
and
people
they're
that
having
you
their
can
voices
rely
heard.
on.
The mayor showed up down there a couple times to check in with us and check in with the community leaders. So it's a good thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Really good work on that end, too.
Thank you.
So, Brian, let's talk about, we got a lot of things we can talk about. Let's talk about, we'll get into a little crime prevention
All
and things
right.
like that, what people should look out for. But I'm curious, the schools, I think there's two hot topics on the crime, you see on TV, is the school safety and then the drug issues with drugs, and now it's the vaping. Do you want to touch upon
I
those
think
two
probably
areas?
The biggest social narrative right now is definitely school violence and
Yeah.
what's with active shooter type situations. But if you back off for a second on that, most school age kids from elementary school up to high school, they're actually safer, statistically safer. They're safer in schools than they would be, say, sometimes at home, sometimes in their own neighborhood, sometimes walking to school, sometimes in like after school type programs. But the fear of crime, the fear of something happening in school, that's one of the reasons why we have police officers in there, to kind of alleviate that fear. And the school resource officer program came out of a 1996 government study that said, hey, there's a lot of crime that's starting to happen in schools, and usually the best people equipped to kind of fester out that crime and see what's going on and try to find out why it's happening as police officers. So that's when police officers started going into the schools. And
So was that
Beverly,
before
it was
any of the real big
2000.
publicity on school shootings and stuff? Was that before or
This
after
was
that?
right
Oh, right
in
around.
the mid-'90s when the Secret Service did a big study on school shootings, and they said, hey, we got to kind of get a hold on this. We got to get the right people in the schools to try to develop relationships with the students and try to, figure out what's going on. Why is this happening? Why are kids doing this in schools? Why are kids being left behind? Why are kids being isolated? Why are they being bullied? And a police officer is just another resource. The teachers do a great job. The councils do a great job. The mental health community does a great job. The police officers are just another link in the chain to keep the schools safe.
So the school resource officer in a lot of ways is kind of that tie into the community impact unit and all the great things the police department
Absolutely.
doing.
He's no
to not be
different.
in there to like, okay, someone do something because I'm a
No,
police officer. I'm ready to,
The worst thing a school
You
resource
wanna
officer
be-
can do is to do that, because you want to
Come across as I'm looking for trouble,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
I'm
no
looking for the
different than what
people getting in
Justin's
trouble.
doing out there,
Right.
in the streets, trying to
the
develop
resource
relationships.
officers, they report directly to Sergeant Costa, so they're kind of under our umbrella as well.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're on board with the same type of programs we're doing and things like that.
Yeah, well, I know you just had, was a son that just graduated from the school system? I'm sure, I don't know.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've seen it firsthand. That's the thing, we're all citizens of Beverly, and you see it firsthand, and you want, obviously, the schools to be safe, and you also want it to make sure that you don't want to be, I don't want my son to come home and say, why is there a police officer in my school? So it's that,
The key to any police
key of
department
keeping it, like I
is
said
putting
before,
in
positive.
the correct police officer, the police officer who, like Justin, who's a football coach, hockey
Yeah.
coach, someone like that who can relate to the
Relate to
kids
the
in the
kids,
schools.
yeah.
It's a pretty simple philosophy, but to get it accepted by the kids and the teachers and the parents is kind of difficult. But I think once a police officer is in the school and they figure out, and his reputation is, hey, he's a cool guy. He's not here to arrest people.
Right.
He's here to develop relationships and that are going to last forever. That's why they're in there. Well, that's one of the main reasons why they're in there.
Yeah, so the same thing, you must hear things or see things, or probably just some red flags that come up where you might want to follow up on certain activity or things you might hear about certain kids or whatever, where you
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously,
probably follow up.
Yeah, that's the other side of the job. Is you're in there and you might hear that a crime was committed over the weekend. Some kid was assaulted, or some kid might have made a threat on the internet or on Facebook that on Tuesday morning he's coming into the school. Now that's where the school resource officer has to step up and do his or her job.
Well, then that's another, it's certainly a huge decision point of what do you do with that information and how is that perceived by the community and how much does the community need to know and do you send the children home and all those things. I'm not sure how many instances there have been when, where you've had to take action in a
How many
in a
lockdowns
public
have
way.
we had?
Yeah,
Or how
like-
many times have we actually had to call in other agencies? So I started in 2000, so that was 20 years ago, some 19 years ago. Off the top of my head, I think we've probably had 4 or 5 instances in that time span. We actually had to call outside departments and lock down schools and stuff like that. But most of it's kind of like minor type things that don't require that type of a response.
Yeah.
A lot of it's nuisance, adolescent, teenage behavior that can be dealt with typically in the school.
Yeah.
In the discipline setting with the teachers and the counselors.
Yeah,
And
you're
the
not
cops
there to-
aren't needed.
Right, you're not there to usurp the leadership or the principal or anything like that.
No, absolutely not.
you're totally different.
No, the cops wouldn't last in the schools
Yeah.
if that was the case. There's no way that the principal of the school would allow the police to run their school, because that's
Did
not
you
the
actually
way.
have to get approval to be in the school? Is that a school committee? I'm just curious. Or is it a
That's a
safety?
good
Is it
question.
a safety, like we're coming in, or do we,
Oh.
is it a principal, like, does it have to be approved? I'm just curious about the process of that.
The last round of SROs that we put into the middle and high school went through a interview process that did include the principals of each school and the superintendent.
Okay, so they're picking the actual officer. Or they're making
having
sure
the
they
ability
want-
to weigh in
input,
on
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they're weighing in on it, yeah.
But
Certainly the
obviously,
buy-in.
I think if you're a proactive leader in the city, a school committee, mayor, principal of a school, I think if you're up on the research in regards to police officers in schools, you would probably be best served to kind of read
Yeah.
that research and say, this is kind of what's going on, and they're there
Right.
as a resource to assist in
Yeah.
the safety of the school, not to run the administration of the school at all.
Yeah, and I think
So-
the more buy-in, so-called buy-in you get from the principal and everybody's on board as to why you're doing this, it's going to make it easier for people to see, and you're not getting, you're not butting heads or anything like that with people that don't understand why there's a police officer in the school.
I think 20 years ago when I think I was the first SRO back in 2000, and yeah, I think the first couple of months was a difficult transition.
Right.
But then they said, hey, everything's good. This police officer isn't going to come in here.
Yeah, it's someone like you, Brian. You've got a great personality, and I think it's Tim.
Thanks,
is it Tim Mezza now?
That's Tim Mezza and Steve Fiore.
He's
great
heavily
guys,
involved
great
in the community.
officers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, makes a big difference. So which schools do you actually have the resource officers in?
Right here at the high school.
So the high school?
And the middle school.
Okay.
However, the elementary schools and the private schools have access to us. So if they need an officer to come to their school for whatever reason, all they have to do is call the station, and we'll send one of the school resource officers down. If not, the community impact unit.
Okay.
Depending on the situation.
Excellent. So what about, we have about 3 or 4 minutes left. So I want to make sure we talk about drug prevention, or I don't know if you want to do, and vaping and substance abuse, I guess, is what the topic is.
Yeah, that's a huge topic.
So what's the role of the police department in that? I mean, what do you...
In the schools,
I know
just
at
on
one
the
point there was
street in general?
DARE, there was a specific
There
program.
was the DARE program. However, that is kind of, it's still out there, but it's actually, what's it called? It's called Keeping It Real.
Keeping It Real, yeah.
Which is kind of, they brought DARE to another level, and they got into the prescription drug issues. They got into stuff going on at home. They got into safety type programs for the kids, internet safety and bullying. But the DARE program has always been a difficult program to kind of get kids to buy into, because you get the peer pressure of being a teenager, and then you have the police officer trying to pull kids into the realities of what drugs is going to do in the end. But it's a constant issue. It's been going on for years. It has highs and lows. We have Justin with the Community Impact Unit trying to do it at the street level. We have the school resource officers doing it right at the school level. And to be quite frank with you, we don't have a DARE officer, and we probably should have a DARE officer in the elementary schools doing that type of education, because obviously, probably since around 2000 with the OxyContin now into heroin, it's a huge problem. It's definitely spiking. It does trend, but it's definitely spiking now, and it's something as a parent or a citizen of this city, you would probably want some sort of a advanced education program for your kid in the elementary and middle school level.
Yeah, do they teach it in the schools at all?
I think it's part of the health program a little bit, but I don't know how deep they get into it. But we're seeing the problem start younger and younger in these kids. It's shocking.
Yeah.
I graduated from this place 20 years ago, and the difference in the kids now from then is just, it's insane.
Yeah, it's amazing how it evolves and changes, and unfortunately, the drugs, like we graduated in, what, 83?
Class of 83.
And you just get amazed, like everything, the advancement, and unfortunately, it's the advancement of drugs, like things that you would never even
And the way they
thought
market
of.
it now they're marketing it to the kids.
Right.
So you're going against all that negativity, and you're trying to combat that. It's very difficult.
Well, we just keep plugging away at it. I know it's a huge, and it's certainly not, it's not all the police department's responsibility. It's not like it's, you guys handle it and that's the only, resource. There's so many different levels of it.
Right.
So we really need to wrap up. Anything else you guys want to add that?
I'd just like to add
Before
that
we
when we
end.
announce the groundbreaking, they'll also be announcing a community-wide meeting for anybody from the abutters in the Gloucester Crossing neighborhood, or over at Elliott Landings, all the way to somebody who just has an interest in the new police station. And that'll be hosted at the Cumming Center.
Excellent. So we
Be
just
announced
stay
as
tuned
well.
for a date on that?
Yep.
Awesome.
Answer everyone's questions.
Good. And how does somebody get a hold of the police department? What's the best way to?
Well,
Get a hold
basically, if you have a true emergency, 911 is going to come right to the dispatch center on Cabot Street. General business questions, 978-922-1212. It's coming to the same dispatch center, but it's just going to have a different priority.
Excellent. And you guys, and then they'll direct you for, if anybody wanted to talk with one of you specifically, they can direct the call to one of any officer at that
We usually
point.
funnel everything up to Mike Devlin.
Mike Devlin.
We all have individual emails, so if you needed an officer's email, you can always call dispatch, would give that email to the person calling.
Okay,
Go
excellent.
to our website.
Good. Well, it was a great show. We really appreciate you being on the show. And we want to thank all the viewers for being with Jason's in the House again. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions for me or you want to talk with me about anything or actually be a guest on the show, you can always reach me at 978-927-6030, or you can visit my website, which is jasonparisellateam.com. As always, we thank BevCam, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.